Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a phenomenal day. Happy Wednesday to you. Quick look here at Bitcoin. Quick congrats, of course, to our community members for some nice profits on Bitcoin. 13% in 18 hours, AVAX 21% in 18 hours. Just a couple of shorts we had yesterday that we hedged our longs with. So again, just a little standard procedure, folks. Nothing too crazy. I wouldn't get too set in the price action dropping, but I would also agree that it seems very likely to. So I'll explain what I mean by that here in a minute. So if you're new to the channel, welcome aboard. Hope you can learn something today. Let's take a quick look at the last 7 days of liquidation here and just kind of see what's going on. We can see this perfect scam wicks here. Look at this. The extra amount of liquidity I mentioned at about 71,700, perfectly swept. That is just, I would normally label it as garbage, but it's just normal stuff, right? You get kind of used to it, desensitized, if you will. But this is just typical whale shenanigans 101. Price wicks up, price wicks down, everyone's destroyed, and then they just go about their day as if nothing happened. So that's pretty much what's going on right here. If we take a look at, I think if we look at smaller time frames, it's not going to be super descriptive, just because these charts, these liquidation charts they're pretty messy. But again, we saw that 71.7 get wicked out, and then of course any longs down as low as 68,900. Okay, so that was coincidentally our profit target there. And again, that's based mostly off of Fibonacci retracement level from yesterday, but also there was some liquidation there too. So again, all the more reason to just kind of make sure that you understand that when you set targets, you want to set them at heavy concentration of liquidation or just above a stop loss, or more importantly, really close to a fib level. And we can see here about 69,000 was that fib level, and our take profit was 69.8. Sorry, 68.9. Entry 69.8. Sorry, hard to say all that. Anyways, what we want to get at here is seeing where we're at in the big picture, right? Because this coin is it was showing some bearish divergences yesterday. That's why I felt confident taking that trade. Let's see if it's still present. Keep in mind, the daily time frame is not going to exude too much of those, at least on the charts, because we're still over the 20-day SMA. All right, so generally speaking, we're still bullish in the overall trend, which is fine. We're also honoring this ascending trend line. This very large orange trend line, which we've talked about as a community, being a good color to identify key levels. Now that we've broken down below this, more recent ascending trend, we have our longer term ascending trend here, and we want to be respectful of this. This is a very important one. It's running fairly concurrent with the 50-day SMA, but generally speaking, getting below that level would definitely be a potential problem area for us. Between now and then, I wouldn't worry too much about Bitcoin retracing. It's going to happen, of course, it's natural, but it shouldn't be the end of the world if that happens, right? Again, losing that level, I think, would be a different story altogether. Money flow index is pulling back, and then of course RSI is just in a kind of sweet spot there, above 50, below 70. So again, generally bullish. We have a stochastic RSI swinging up here and a MACD convergence trying. It hasn't happened yet, of course, may not happen at all, but generally speaking, these are all slightly bullish signs. Are they truly bullish? No, not at all. It's just, generally speaking, the price action looks like it wants to continue further up in the overall sentiment here. Okay. Again, further up could literally imply the price coming down here and going up, right? So try not to get it twisted. Just because the macro is bullish does not imply that we cannot still have corrective patterns, which we're seeing now. Again, larger time frames are going to give us some false positives. If we take a look at the 4-hour, we can see we're just tested the 20-day SMA, and we're maintaining above the 100, pretty much everything, right? So this is all well and good, don't get me wrong. But when we look at smaller time frames, we're going to see some different stories here. Either way, this is a candle wick here, scam wick there. I felt confident taking our trade, mainly because we broke below this ascending trend line. You'll see that on smaller time frames here, but generally speaking, when you start losing trend lines and you start losing moving averages on the hourly, you can start to see that transition occur in larger time frames. We have a MACD divergence here as well, which is reaffirming this downtrend. And we're over 50 on the RSI, which is nice, but we're getting closer to that. So unless we get a bounce off 50, which is likely going to be this level here at about 69,000 is a rough estimate, then we're not going to be able to see the price continue and just recover instantly. We can also recognize too, and this is a little easier if you zoom in, you can see that we are establishing lower lows. It's not like super obvious, but it is fairly obvious. Keep in mind this candlestick still has 30 minutes left to close. So hypothetically, we could not do that here soon, but it seems fairly likely that we're just going to continue to work ourselves down. Now, you could argue that this is like the beginning of a bull flag pattern. That is true. You can have bull flags that kind of work out to be in this shape because of the fact that they are pushing up like this, right? So this is a possibility, but I do not want you to leave this conversation or this analysis just understanding that, hey, bull flag, I'm going to take a long position and we're going to go to the moon. That's really not how things are supposed to work. So just keep in mind, flag patterns, whatever patterns, they do occur. They're more likely to occur than not. Over 50% probability. However, if all the other TA is looking disadvantageous, then it's a different story altogether, right? So having said that, let's look at the hourly and just confirm a couple things here and just see where we're at. First of all, we're within the cloud, which is generally not considered to be a good buy signal. Okay, you're supposed to wait until it's either above or below. That's step number one, is to be patient and wait. Now, I know that kind of tickles your funny bone, or it probably upsets you somewhere deep inside, because I know a lot of people were like, wait a minute, Cash says don't take a trade. What the hell's wrong with this guy? Well, you got to understand, most of trading is waiting to be patient or being patient and waiting to find the right opportunity. And if you're trying to FOMO in right now, I think it's a bad call. If you were to FOMO in, I am feeling more like the price is going to decline here, just considering we haven't broken above this descending trend. And then, of course, this ascending trend that we had that was retested here with higher lows, we've since broken below that. So our short-term uptrend is discontinued, replacing it with basically a short-term downtrend with lower highs and lower lows. And if we effectively close below 70,000 today, I think it's pretty obvious the price is going to continue lower. Again, the 4-hour time frame is kind of fair to middling. Daily time frame is mildly bullish. So please keep this in mind. The price, if it's going to pull back, it may not pull back dramatically hard. The other thing I forgot to mention, and I covered this after, or I talked about this with my community after after I analyzed Bitcoin. Sorry, I didn't catch this yesterday in time for the analysis, but there is a pretty large CMA gap here at 63.9, upwards of 66.5. Those commonly get filled. It doesn't necessarily have to happen right away, but they get filled eventually. Okay, so I think it'd be safe to presume if we end up, digressing, so to speak, in price here, we lose that 70,000 range. We start breaking down to 68, 67. CMA gap would make sense to get that filled. A wick all the way down to 64K makes sense. So I've got a fairly large limit order set there for my spot bag, and I might recommend the same for you. But either way you look at it here, this is just part of the overall scenario. This, in combination with manipulation wicks, with the price going up and down, is par for the course, all standard stuff, folks. Nothing to be surprised about, but Bitcoin just kind of has that direction, that potential to go down further than I think going up. But again, still a little premature in the sense of taking a trade. If you're in our short position with our Bitcoin trade, I would say leave it open. I'm confident we'll probably at least hit a couple more targets, just because 64K is a potential reality. Keep in mind, 64,000, we wick all the way down there, we'd still be above this ascending trend line, right? It's literally right here. So I see no problem with the price eventually working itself down here to bounce off this and to give us a nice little consideration for the price going up. So me personally, if I'm going to consider a long, again, loosely right now, I'm thinking 64 to 66,000 would be a good consideration for a long on Bitcoin. Anyways, that's just kind of the big picture and the thoughts there from some random guy on the internet. I hope that you did learn something here today, of course. And if you did, comment below. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, and follow if you haven't already. And obviously make sure that you continue to just be patient, folks. If you're taking my trades, I promise you, these patience pays off. I can assure you we're in good shape here with our trades. All well and good, and Bitcoin is looking pretty bad. Fairly well on the struggle bus there. Thanks again, folks. We'll see you in the next one. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. Bye-bye.